You are listening to Book Clips, a mini podcast in which authors or narrators do readings from novels. Check out the show notes for the synopsis and buy links for this book.
Hi, I'm Sarah Ettritch, and today I will be doing a reading from Threaded Through Time, Book 1. Threaded Through Time is a time travel romance. In the novel, Pam accidentally summons an engaged couple from the year 1910 into the present. Margaret, the engaged woman from the past, develops feelings for Pam's lesbian roommate, Robin. Pam and Robin hide the fact that Robin's a lesbian because homosexuality was viewed as sinful and deviant in 1910. And so, as you'll hear in the reading, Margaret doesn't consider for a second that Robin might reciprocate her feelings. She thinks Robin is heterosexual. "Come in," Robin called. Margaret pushed the door open. "I'm sorry if I'm disturbing you, but I was wondering if you've told Pam about Friday. I'd like to knit tonight, if I can." Robin dragged what appeared to be a thick pen across a line in the book she was reading, coloring the line yellow. She looked up. "Sorry, I should have mentioned it to you. Yes, I told her." Her mouth turned up at the corners. She wasn't exactly happy about it, but what could she say, given that she'd spent almost the entire day out with Jasper? "So go ahead and knit. She won't ask you where the wool came from." "Thank you." Margaret hovered, reluctant to leave. "I want to start knitting your sweater, but I don't know what size you are. Can I show you the pattern? It lists all the measurements." "Sure, and you can always measure me." Her breath quickened. "Let's try the pattern first," she said faintly. "I'll fetch it." Were her cheeks as red as they felt? The thought of wrapping a measuring tape around Robin had her all aflutter. She hurried into the bedroom, snatched the pattern from Robin's desk, and returned to the study. Robin took it from her and studied it. "I remember this one. It's the last one we printed." On Friday night, they'd sat in front of Robin's computer, searching for and printing out patterns. Margaret had marveled at how one could instantly obtain patterns just like that. "You said you like it," she reminded Robin. "I do, and I'm a medium." "Medium," Margaret repeated, disappointed that she wouldn't need the measuring tape, but certain it was for the best. Robin handed back the pattern. "Are you sure you want to knit me a sweater? You don't have to." "I'd like to, very much." "Then thank you." Robin touched Margaret's arm. Margaret swallowed. "It will be my pleasure." She didn't want to leave. "Would you like a cup of tea?" At least that would give her a reason to come up and see Robin again. "I'd love one, but only if you're having one as well. In fact, why don't you have your tea with me up here? I could use a break." Robin cupped her hand around her ear. "And is that a movie I hear starting downstairs?" Well, she didn't need to be asked twice. "I would like to have tea with you, as long as it doesn't interfere with your work." Robin shook her head. "Like I said, I need a break. By the time you've made the tea, I'll have finished this chapter." "I'll go put the kettle on then." Now eager to leave before Robin changed her mind, Margaret returned the pattern to the bedroom and went down to the kitchen. The sensations she felt around Robin were most pleasant and wrong. Now she understood why her friends swooned, yearned to see their suitors, and struggled to retain their innocence. But their feelings were normal. Hers weren't. If she could feel half as drawn to Jasper as she was to Robin, their marriage would be filled with passion. Perhaps returning to 1910 would redirect her attraction to him, where it belonged. For now, she should avoid Robin, not indulge the longing for her. But it was as if someone had cast a spell over Margaret, making it impossible to resist her desire. And so here she was, willing the kettle to boil so she could make the tea and hurry back upstairs. She must be careful to never let a hint of her feelings for Robin show. If Robin even suspected, she and Pam would throw Margaret out onto the street, and deservedly so. The most generous of hosts would refuse to harbor a deviant. Margaret rested her knitting on her lap and glanced at the time on the machine Pam used to play her movies. 10:45. Would Robin be home soon from the late dinner with her father? Margaret had missed their nightly ritual this evening. The tea she'd taken up to Robin last week had been the first of many. She'd easily fallen into the habit of sipping tea with her for 15 or 20 minutes, then settling into the comfy armchair in the study and knitting while Robin worked. Tonight she'd knit it in the study alone, only coming downstairs when Jasper and Pam had retired. She should be in bed too, but she knew she wouldn't sleep until Robin was home. Her feelings were a curse, yet she couldn't resist them. She picked up her knitting, then froze when a key turned in the front door lock and the door opened and closed. Margaret expected Robin to come into the living room when she saw the light on, but Robin strode past the living room archway and down the hallway, still wearing her jacket. She didn't go upstairs, though. It sounded as if she'd gone into the kitchen. Margaret dithered over what to do, whether to remain in the living room and hope Robin noticed the light when she left the kitchen, or go into the kitchen under the pretense of wanting a glass of water. No, she wouldn't force her company on Robin. There was always tomorrow. But when Robin was still in the kitchen 10 minutes later and the house sounded completely silent, Margaret's curiosity got the better of her. She left her knitting on the coffee table and went into the kitchen. Odd, the kitchen light wasn't on. Had Robin quietly gone to bed? Disappointed, Margaret turned to go upstairs, but then decided that she actually wouldn't mind a glass of water. She flicked on the kitchen light. The unexpected sight of someone sitting at the table made her gasp in fright. "Oh my goodness, I'm sorry." She stared in astonishment as Robin quickly dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. "It's all right. You didn't know I was here." Again, Margaret dithered. She'd intruded on a private moment and should leave Robin in peace, but she couldn't pretend she hadn't noticed Robin's distress and walk away as if she didn't care. Concern and curiosity propelled her farther into the kitchen. When Robin didn't shoo her away, Margaret pulled out a chair and sat down. Her heart ached at Robin's hunched shoulders, her hands clenched around the tissue, and her downcast eyes. This wasn't the confident, assured woman Margaret was used to. The urge to comfort Robin by touching her was overwhelming. Margaret tucked her hands underneath the table and gripped her dress for good measure. "Did the dinner with your father not go well?" she asked gently. Robin hadn't seemed enthusiastic about seeing her father, both the first time she'd mentioned it and when she'd reminded Margaret about it last night. To her surprise, Robin smiled. "Well, you could say that, but then it never does." She drew a shaky breath. "I don't know why he bothers. I guess he just can't pass up any opportunity to tell us how perfect his second family is." The bitterness in her voice was unmistakable. "Why would he want to do that?" "Well, I guess he's glad to be rid of the drunk and the schizo." Robin sighed. "And me, though he likes to see me and Chris every once in a while just to make sure we don't forget what a wonderful life he has now." He sounded like a horrid man. But something Robin had said bothered her. She could understand, though not condone, his abandonment of his wife and son. Life with an alcoholic wife and ill son must have been difficult, and perhaps he was unable to overcome a lingering resentment toward them. But why hurt Robin? Why resent her? "Why is he glad to be rid of you?" Margaret blurted, before she could change her mind. She shouldn't ask, but she needed to know. "He should be proud of you," she said, when Robin didn't answer. "You're in university, you're kind-hearted." Margaret swallowed. "You're a lovely woman. Why would he—" Robin abruptly pushed back her chair and stood. "I appreciate your concern, Margaret, I really do. But you'll be gone next week. You don't need to get mixed up with my problems." She shoved the tissue into her jacket pocket. "I'm going to bed." "I'm sorry if I offended you," Margaret quickly said, not wanting them to part on a bad note. "You didn't, not at all. It's my fault. For some reason, I feel comfortable talking to you about personal stuff. Maybe because I know you won't be here for long. I don't know." Robin shrugged. "I just know I shouldn't take advantage and whine to you. I'm sorry." She pressed her hand against her chest. "I hope you'll still bring me tea tomorrow." Margaret's throat tightened. "Of course I will." She wouldn't miss her time with Robin for the world. "I'd miss it if you didn't." Robin walked toward the hallway and stopped when she reached it. "I'd miss you, too. Good night." She was gone before Margaret had a chance to respond. Not that she would have said anything. She was too busy reeling over Robin's parting words. Was Robin being polite, or had she meant it? For the first time, Margaret realized that returning to 1910 would bring her sadness as well as joy. She would spend the rest of her life missing someone who hadn't been born. You have been listening to me, Sarah Ettritch, reading from my time travel romance, Threaded Through Time, Book 1. Thanks for listening.
Check out the show notes for the synopsis and buy links for this book. If you are interested in showcasing your novel, then check out the show notes for more information.